Let's talk about a story involving two police officers and an apparent tragedy. The first is Calvin Salyers, who you can see in this photo right here. He has apparently told investigators that he would shoot through the door, that's an actual quote, if any protesters showed up at his home. He did end up shooting through his door, but not at a protester. It was at another police officer. Here's a photo of Scott Hutton, who was eventually shot by Salyers. Calvin Salyers surrendered on Wednesday on a manslaughter charge in this shooting, which happened back on June 3rd. The officer that he shot, Scott Hutton, had apparently went to his colleague's home to pick up a patrol car, knocked on the officer's door, and an armed Salyers looked through a peephole to find a dark figure with a firearm. He says during a 911 call, Salyers, after shooting through the door, "All I seen was a gun, it was an accidental discharge." And so initially it was approached as a tragic accident, a mistake. Although new evidence indicates that that might not be the case. He had said that he accidentally discharged the weapon while transferring it from one hand to another. But investigators found contact residue around the bullet hole in Salyers' door, suggesting his weapon was pressed against it as he fired. There were actually two bits of evidence implying that it had been pressed firmly against the door before the weapon was discharged. If this isn't a mistake, if it was just an accidental discharge, it is difficult to imagine how irresponsible someone, let alone a cop, would have to be just casually bringing a gun to the door, transferring it with it pointed towards the door from one hand to another, and then accidentally discharging it. But Cenk, it doesn't necessarily look like that's gonna end up being what actually happened.
So there are two issues here. One is gun culture. So let me give you a quote from the affidavit. He said, when they heard the knock, Salyers told Cummings that he would see who it was and grabbed his Glock 40 caliber handgun and went to the door. I've never gone to the door with a gun. I mean, obviously I don't have one, so that makes a big difference, but I wouldn't even consider it. Okay, a knife is less than a gun. I would never consider grabbing a giant knife to go to the door at 7 o'clock in the evening. And thinking, you know what, maybe I murder the person on the other side of this door just in case. So, I mean, did it not occur to him that maybe somebody's coming to sell Girl Scout cookies, or someone is coming in to talk to him about running for office? These are things that normally happen at doors, right? Or a coworker's coming over.
Yeah.
Now he wanted to shoot through the door so bad. He'd been fantasizing about it for so long. That's why he told a fellow officer, I can't wait to shoot through the door. And the guy told him, don't do that, right? Now, the second problem is police culture. So, I mean, we've got a cop who was shot and killed, murdered, right? I mean, there's nothing that cops obviously hate more than a fellow cop being killed. The Alexander Police Department described the shooting as accidental. There's nothing accidental about that shooting. So it turns out the thin blue line is, even if you murder a fellow cop, who cares? We're gonna cover up for you. No matter what you do, or no matter who you kill, we will cover up your crimes, because we're the police. No.
Yeah.
Thin blue line is a terrible, terrible idea. It basically says the police are gangsters and they will cover each other's crimes up and make sure that no one is ever apprehended for their crimes. That's literally what thin blue line means. That means we stand together and defend each other in case any one of us is accused of any crime. And here, even if you killed a fellow cop, they're like, who cares? Who cares, fellow cop? Blue lives matter? No, they don't. As long as another cop shoots him on purpose.
I know that we get criticized every time that we talk about a story like this and say that there are some people who just clearly fantasize about killing people. But like, I don't know how you're supposed to look at the story and not see that. It is such a specific fantasy, not just to want to kill someone, but to want to kill them in that very particular way. And then accidentally for that same thing to happen. We have to understand that we have sick people in this country, and it's relatively easy for them to get guns, relatively easy for them to become cops.
And then once they commit a crime, they know under no circumstances will their fellow officers ever hold them to account or bring them to justice.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.